Hey guys, I just want to show you this really cool, basically textbook 4-bar play that just set up a few minutes ago, and I got in on it and it worked out. And you can see now it's selling off a little bit, but I'm already out of the trade. But anyway, I saw this thing and I was like, wow, this looks exactly the way it should, and that's such a rare thing. Well, a lot of times we see setups that are kind of like similar to what we're looking for, but rarely are they ever, textbook quality. So anyway, when I opened this up, this popped up on my scanner, and I pulled it up on my page to take a quick look at it, and it was at this candle. I'm on the 5-minute chart, which I prefer because I find that the setups on the 5-minute chart are quite a bit stronger and more reliable. But this really will work on any time frame. So anyway, I pulled this up, and this candle here was forming, and I noticed that there was this big, huge, they call it a green engulfing bar right here, which signals price strength. The stock opened up with a little bit of a sell-off with a lot of volume, and then immediately started to recover. But at this point, you really don't know what's going to happen. This could be like a little pullback, and then the stock could have sold off more. So you definitely are not interested in it at this point. So anyway, when this candle was forming, I noticed essentially this is like a 3-bar play at that point that could be setting up. And the way I play these, and this is really based off of the way Jared Wesley at Live Traders teaches it, so hats off to him. The guy's awesome. So essentially what I do when I see something like this form, I mean, everything is in an uptrend. This thing just looks great. So I go over to whatever the highest candle is in this 3-bar pattern, and I check the highs. And you can see when I hover over each candle, notice the highs are right here in this H. They're changing. All right, so the very highest high is 257. Again, I'm stopping here because this is where it was when I opened it up. So seeing that, okay, this thing is gonna, looks like it's gonna break out because it's a perfect 3 or 4-bar play pattern. This is how I play it, is I go up over here, I would click buy, change this to stop limit. And again, the high was 257. So what I'm trying to do is to buy into price strength, increasing buy volume. I don't really want into this stock if it's trading down here because this could be a fake out and it could sell off. So this kind of guarantees that this thing is strong. It's not 100% guarantee, but it increases the probability that this thing is actually strong and could take off. So I set the stop limit and I set my stop price to just above the high candle. So I would set it, this is what I did. I set it to 258. And then the limit price has to be higher. This is kind of like the price range that you're willing to pay. And you should base that off of the spread or the difference between the bid ask. This is 1 cent. To give myself a little cushion, I would give it 2 cents room. So I put the limit price at 260. If this was, say, like 10 cents, then you would have to set this to at least 268. 258 to 268, that's 10 cents. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get filled. And then you put in your quantity, whatever you want to trade with. I like to go by percentage, but you can switch it to dollar amount or share size or whatever. And since this is during the day, I have day set. I always use stop losses and take profit orders. And then I would place my order. And right now I can't because this is a cash account and I've already used all my funds for the day and I'm done trading. So I won't be able to actually place an order. But if I did, since I have the stop loss selected, the take profit order, what would happen is first you would see buy limit in green above, again, like pretend we're going back in time. So essentially here you would see like a little buy limit order pop up like a bubble, and then you would see my stop loss order. These are set arbitrarily just so that the orders pop up, and then I put them in the appropriate place as soon as the little bubbles pop up. and you don't even have to have your position filled. You can play with those before it's filled and get it exactly where you want it. So I would put my stop loss at the lowest of the candles over here, not below this one that's too wide. If it goes down here, I mean, obviously it was a bad trade. But if it breaks the low of the lowest of these, sometimes there's only two, but in this case there's three candles. If it breaks the low of one of those candles, then the chances are it's going to be a failing trade, and it's better to stop out with a small loss than to hold and hope. So what I did here is, again, this is the lowest of these three candles, and the low is 254. And to give the trade just a little bit of room, just in case it kind of, bounced down and back up, I set my stop loss to 252, which is also like the almost dead center of this candle, which, is a good place to say, hey, if it falls below that price point, it's not a good trade anymore, and I don't want to be in it. Also notice that it's the top of this candle, so that's kind of like a little bit of support there. So what ended up happening was this candle wasn't even formed yet, so I watched this candle form. Nothing changed. I didn't get filled yet, but on this candle I got filled at 258. Didn't even go up to my limit price. And then I just kind of watched this thing go up, and then as soon as I saw some price weakness, I just moved my stop order up, and I let it kind of stop me out. It was right around, I guess, the 267 mark, I think, is where I got stopped out. So it was a nice little move. It was about 9 cents, and on a $2 and change stock, that's a pretty decent move. So it's a green trade. That's what we want. So anyway, that was just like a quick little recap of a trade I took this morning, and a really nice, what ended up being a 4-bar play. It started out looking like a 3-bar play, but they essentially work the same way. One just takes a little bit longer to play out. But some things you want to notice is, and again, this is all straight from Live Trader, so definitely check them out if you haven't, is that right after this giant green engulfing candle, you see that the price never really drops below halfway through that big engulfing candle. And that's a sign that, man, this thing's really strong, and it's really likely to continue up after a short little consolidation here in these 3 or 4 bars. And that's exactly what it did. The other things that you notice that signal price strength are that the lows of the candles are kind of constantly moving up. You can even start looking here. Big gap up here, then it goes a little higher there, and here it kind of this little hammer, it's I don't know, this is definitely a doji here, and this is I forget what they call this, but some kind of hammer. Maybe it's just a hammer, but anyway, because there's barely anything happening here, so I wouldn't want to read too much into this candle. This descending hammer by itself, actually signals some price weakness, but there's a little more to it than that. This is really just a little pullback, and because of everything else that's going on here, you wouldn't just assume that this thing is actually going to fail, because again, you're seeing the higher lows, and you're seeing this consolidation. Another thing is that this looks like a bull flag. These are all kind of technical chart reading tactics, I guess, that you have to look into if you want to understand more about them. But yeah, so those are all things that are kind of helping this thing look stronger and giving me a reason to take a trade on it. But even with all that strong stuff telling me that, hey man, this thing really looks like it's going to rip up, I still have my stop loss in place 2 cents below this candle, and I will take it if this thing fails. I'm not going to say, oh, well, all this other stuff looked good, all these indicators are going up, so maybe I'll just hold and hope, watch it trade out, sell off, and the price drop, but because this stuff looks so good, it's got to go back up. No, even with all of these things kind of pointing to, yes, this stock is going to trade higher, there are no guarantees that it actually will. Even if you had something like a 95% chance, you might be in that 5% instance that it actually failed. So instead of just sitting there and waiting and the thing selling off and maybe even never recovering, just have your stop loss in place just in case it doesn't do it. So anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks.